Okay, so moving on to fourth hub, interruptions and stressors. And I'm just going to read the introduction here for today because I want to leave like to go get some breakfast. So there's that. But before my preamble on this today is is about how hard this work is. I like the thing I was thinking about this morning, kind of like when a couple little thoughts rattling around in my head. And this has come up a lot of times when I've been, throughout the process of developing this and doing my own practice, which is this notion of if you can get away with not doing this, I kind of recommend it. If I mean, it's kind of a glib thing to say, but I just, for me, this process was like presented itself as a non-negotiable in terms of like breaking through um, and the level of actualization that is possible in this is that like another thing is it's like back to the thing of like who's the target person for this, and it really is someone who has kind of like achieved everything that they imagined was going to make them happy, and then found themselves feeling the same way they felt before. So it's not great. I mean, because look, the thing is right now, and I'm in a fourth hub, my own, doing the fourth hub, because once again, you can do these kind of over and over again, and go deeper and deeper in the practice. But the fourth hub is really about this level of self-acceptance that's like goes kind of deeper than bone, and and the notion and the reconciliation of the fourth hub being how much of myself do I need to hide in order to belong. And also, so one of the things I'm finding right now, it's not just to belong, it's how belonging is tethered to deeper aspects of like deeper hubs. And one of them is how much of myself do I have to hide in order to survive. So and so there's this kind of reconciliation of really going back to creating a sense of safety. And this is once again is the thing of like finding it somatically, not that that it can be objectively obtained. And the idea of being able to objectively obtain safety is something that just can keep us completely hypervigilant and completely fixated. And so one of the things about being able to create safety is being able to have a notion of trust in yourself, in knowing that in yourself, of having had consistently the ability to make things work, find a way, connect with spirit, connect with like whatever, like however this works. And it's kind of like opening up this aperture. There's something kind of profound and divine that will buoy this process. He'll buoy the process. It does it, but that you still have to stay with yourself. You still have to stay with yourself. So yeah. Okay. So we're gonna read. How are you doing today? Yes, give you a little bell. So one thing I feel compelled to mention is that because I'm reading the book start to finish, one of the things that this doesn't really represent is a practice. So the challenge here is that I'm just reading, and then like we get to somatic practices. So like in TPM for beginners, like in the school, like one of the things we're doing is we're kind of blending this all together. So just a note on that. Asterisks. Okay, so let's see what we have for time, and I'm gonna rip through this. So, fourth hub interruptions are primarily about what you trade so that you can belong. In this hub, you examine which parts of your authentic identity, that is, expressions of your integrity and your unique distinctive quirks, need either to be diminished or completely hidden so you can enjoy the refuge of social belonging. Much of the hiding starts before we can remember, and it's in the initial development of this hub when conscious memories begin to form. But initially, these formations are sporadic. So, memories are stored using images of distinct locations. I discuss memory further in the sixth hub, chapter 9c. All hubs have overlap. For example, memory and vision are the domains of the sixth hub, which is in the eyes and brow, while connection and belonging are the domains of this hub, located in the upper chest, shoulders, and hands. I'd say chest, upper. I think it's like upper torso. It's just chest. It's the entire chest. But it is a little, for me, it's upper, but upper chest, shoulders, and hands. They're all connected, but individually headquartered. So, as adults, our ability and willingness to remember through the sixth hub links in with our first early memories, starting primarily in the fourth hub. Everything before will rely almost entirely on somatic practices. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting that I'm mentioning this here, that this shows up here, because it's, as I'm doing this practice right now myself, I really understand why that would come in, because there really is the fourth hub is this dividing point where we have like the depth of the somatic practices, which are like the formation of the reflexes, and then these upper hubs are like the belief system stuff, like, so like sort of loosely sort of um or sort of broadly explained, and how they relate to each other and how they work with each other winds up becoming increasingly dynamic and nuanced, um, because we're also using the upper hubs to kind of travel back and use our conscious like thought and logic and bless me, um, in order to reclaim the somatic, in order to bless me, to understand it. So yeah. So, memories from our early days of socialization and bonding with peers are inconsistent and similar to the previous hubs. Our present day actions are more indicative of past programming and, in many ways, are more reliable than memories. So that's like a throwback to like why in this book there's a significant emphasis placed on adaptations in terms of like what it looks like to be in and out of balance, and then what shrinking or inflating is. Overall, this is something that I would say from an ongoing practice, and believe it or not, this is like the for beginners. It's got to be an easier way. But like the reason for that is that actually doesn't wind up being a massive part of an ongoing practice. It's just more about like the like understanding the hub and being like, especially the the pre-verbal, pre-cognitive hubs, to be able to look at it from a cognitive perspective and understand like how certain inclinations for behaviors can like be indicative and point us. Okay, where did I go? Okay, yeah. So, because this is the initial hub in which conscious memories are accessible, sometimes images can resurface, even though they tend to be scattered. Somatic practices and conscious reclamation are immediately valuable here. Again, how we love now is how we were taught to love. The interruptions I discuss here look at some of the ways that this was possibly affected by early experience. The primary interruptions in this hub involve conditions placed on love, acceptance, and belonging. The early experiences of scorn, exclusion, rejection, and abuse all interrupt the healthy functioning of this hub. So, early experiences of scorn, exclusion, rejection, and abuse all um, interrupt the healthy functioning of this hub. Again, according to Louise Hay, mentioned before, a repeating message throughout is that we are victims of victims. The reparative work of evaluating ourselves and finding the qualities of love through compassionate exploration and somatic practice is profoundly restorative and transformative. This is our work to do, and to do it requires courage and is the ultimate expression of self-love. So, yeah, so this is something when I wrote this, it felt like, oh, it was really outside of what I felt was arising, like I saw around me, and it does seem to be arising a bit more in the collective conscious, which is the idea is that the reparation of this hub is largely connected to our relationship with ourself and reaching out to parents and trying to get people who don't have the capacity to take accountability um, like is the repair. I mean, it's kind of like the end of any type of relationship where it's like if someone can take accountability for what they've done, and if we can take accountability for our actions, like that, like I don't want to use the word healing. It like just it's a validation in a sense. And it kind of like calms an exacerbated thing, to have somebody say, yes, I did do that wrong. However, in this hub, the interruptions that we're talking about, and I am finding these to be incredibly intense as I'm exploring them again. It's probably not a great if you're watching this you're like, wait, you have to do it again. You don't. Once through, fine, do it. But I mean, honestly, the depth of where this can go is really finding the parts of ourselves that we've even hidden from ourselves or create distorted notions of. In the process of feeling safe to express them. I mean, I'll share for when I, like now over 20 years ago, when I took a job for working for a massive pharmaceutical company out of college, I remember that folks were like, "What?" They're like I received from like it was the parents. So the parents of one of my high school friends had been like, "This is like absolutely absurd," and the thing I didn't understand is that and this was because even in my own process, I was just in my own growth, I was, so kind of like closeted about the fact my family was so highly dysfunctional. So my taking a job that was offering me, I mean, it was kind of like it was almost like surrogate parenting because this is like I was just out of college and they were like, here's, I think it was like either $3,000 or $5,000. They just sent it to me before I started for like miscellaneous relocation expenses. And then they came and they like sent movers, and movers moved all my stuff from my crappy college apartment. I mean, they were like wrapping up yard sale garbage that went to my Boston apartment, and then giving me a car, giving me a computer, giving me what I thought was a lot of money. And I mean, at the time it was to me. I thought I was like going to be as rich as Britney Spears. I had no context. I remember thinking that I was like, I'm so rich. And, and the thing is that my safety, I had no safety net. I had no safety. I had no money. I'd put myself through college. I was exhausted from working full time to pay for I'd gone to college in the same town I went to high school in because I wanted, it was important to me to like essentially emancipate myself from my family so that I could be self-sufficient and not be dependent, because we tried that and it was terrible for me. And so I think that one of the things for me that has been, and I wrote about this a while back where I was saying like, yeah, I remember there's so much angst sort of directed, placed in my direction, or about how, smart I was and how much promise I had, and that I wasn't like living up to it, that I wasn't living up to my potential. And, especially now with this, which is like me being past my understanding of my potential with Parinama, is knowing that my priority was in lower hubs. Like people were seeing me as being like, like, oh, you're up in the sixth, seventh hub, it's like about, higher levels of actualization and knowledge and ideas and knowledge and communication and all the stuff related to education. And I was like, I'm trying to survive. And I think one of the things is like that I look like someone who we're socially programmed to believe is, like I'm very white. I'm like very conventional look to me. So I think there was some dissonance there that took me a while to unpack as well, about like, it's like, or people being like, whether it makes no sense that I would be someone who is, struggling through. And so for 20 years, I was, kind of traveled in a career path, and the career path was always offering me, like always opening more doors. It was always like, you're a leader, you should be this, you should be an executive. And I kind of dragged my feet as it related to, and this is unrelatable to some people, and I understand that. And so I'll cut through that part. I'll cut through that part about like how certain things were easy for me as a, sort of as what my kind of like natural capabilities are, and and emphasize the point that I just kept retrenching in an existence that was completely contrary to what would like I felt in my heart and my integrity. I don't know what this alternative reality was that I was supposed to follow. I don't know that it matters, because now it's very clear to me that everything sort of works out in a very profound, divine way that led me to like having what I have, being what I am, knowing what I know, being perfect. But the unpacking right now and the shedding, it's like a shedding, and it's like molting. I think I explained yesterday. It's like this feeling of like molting and burning and heightening of the feelings that were like suppressed for so long. So I'm like with them, and it's very unpleasant. I'll say. Like, I mean, it's like really, so as I stand by this is about being able to stay with this stuff and develop a way to like exist with discomfort and kind of see it for what it is as it's arising, and give it respect and attention. and let it be seen. Let the pain of having suppressed important parts of myself like be felt and feel it. It's awful. It's awful. Don't do it's like that's what I'm saying. Like, look, if you can push it down, if you can keep it pushed down, go for it. Recommend that because it's definitely like I mean, it's funny that that's one of the things that arises in this where I think like, God, if you don't have to do this, don't do it. But it's just not my, it's kind of, I guess, some kind of glib way of addressing this. But anyhow, that is all I have for this for right now. And thank you so much for watching this, future person. Yeah, thank you for watching this. And yeah, and I appreciate you. So goodbye for now, and I'll see you next time.